I am proud to join you in commemorating this historic anniversary of the liberation of Nazi concentration camps across Europe. More than 100 of the servicemen who helped to liberate those camps and to bring a long, unspeakable nightmare to an end are here with us tonight. "65 years ago, these veterans were among the first Americans to witness the suffering and the cruelty of the Holocaust. They were sadly the first Americans to give voice to our nation's enduring vow to combat the causes and consequences of hatred. And they became the first of many Americans to speak the words and to make the pledge, never again." Today, our challenge is to fulfill this promise, work that compels us not only to bear witness to the past, but also to understand and to heed the lessons of the Shoah. We may never fully understand how the Holocaust could have happened, how people living in one of the world's most civilized and modern societies engaged in these astonishing acts of barbarism. And we may never fully comprehend how, for years, our own country turned a blind eye to intolerance and injustice and human need. But I believe that we can only begin building the future we want for our country, our world, ourselves, and our children if we have the courage to look back on the past and attempt to understand it. It is not the rule of law alone, but a legal framework that reflects our common humanity that is necessary to prevent future atrocities. As we look back on this past, as we shake our heads in amazement and disgust, it's important to remember that at the time of the Holocaust and even beyond it, America's legal framework reflected its own philosophy of intolerance and bias. Perhaps no one understands this better than Leon Bass, one of the liberators who honors us with his presence tonight. In 1945, Mr. Bass risked his life overseas to battle the forces of oppression. Yet in his own country, he was treated as a second-class citizen. After helping to liberate Buchenwald concentration camp, Sergeant Bass returned home to face the realities and restrictions of life under Jim Crow. In the decades since then, our country has seen great progress. Yet despite the advancements that we've made in creating a more equal nation, we have much more to do. You understand all too well that intolerance and the violence that it inspires continues to persist. Less than 6 months after millions of Americans gathered on our National Mall to celebrate the inauguration of President Obama, a lone gunman, fueled by hate, approached the doors of the Holocaust Museum and murdered Officer Stephen Johns. Officer Johns' killer was an 88-year-old white supremacist, an outspoken anti-Semite. In one of our nation's most sacred places of solace and healing, he taught us all that, unfortunately, the world has yet to run its course of bigotry and cruelty. But I refuse to believe that these threats are as strong as the forces working for tolerance and working for peace. I refuse to accept that the commitment of those who heed the battle cry of hate is as strong as those who answer the clarion call of justice. Our nation's Holocaust Museum, and it is truly a national treasure, our nation's Holocaust Museum and those who strengthen and support its work advance this cause. In particular, I want to thank you for the leadership training that you provide to those who serve the Department of Justice and uphold the values that define this country. Over the last 10 years, the museum has trained tens of thousands of police officers and every new FBI agent and thousands of leaders in the judiciary and the military. This work benefits the entire Justice Department, and it will help the department fulfill an historic commitment to strengthen the human rights advocacy work that is such a prominent part of the museum's goals and mission. And to our fellow Americans who have fled persecution in more recent conflicts and who have now made new homes within this country, we will pledge to pursue the perpetrators of those crimes as well. The Department of Justice will ensure that would-be human rights violators know that such crimes cannot and will not go unpunished. We will bear any burden, and we will go to any length to ensure that those who have committed these unspeakable crimes are brought to justice. This is my promise. It is through this commitment that we will apply the lessons of the Holocaust and honor the memory of those lost to it. So long as I have the honor to lead the Department of Justice, we will continue to do our part to fulfill the truth of and keep the promise of never again. Thank you very much.